Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by Ralph Sharega. He's up in Boston, Mass. And we're going to be joined by Ray Clifford in a couple of minutes. And the New York Jets just beat the Chicago Bears 31-10. And with a team effort, 100% of the news, though, is Mike White, who helped dominate the game. The guy was just utterly fantastic. What a difference a week makes as he saw his receivers, he saw the field, he threw 3 touchdown passes. We're going to get into detail. But Ralph, how you doing and what do you think of Mike White and the Jets today?
Like I texted you during the game, I had forgotten what a normal quarterback looks like to root for. So relaxed. The game just was slow for him. He'd slide a little to the left and buy himself some time. And it's like, wow, this is nice.
What a difference. And I hope that he just continues. I know I haven't been the best fan of Mike White. I mean, I'm very easy to convince. He looked the part today. He did everything right. I think he was only sacked once, and I will get into some more
Yeah.
details.
Well, to be fair, though, Chicago's defense is worse than most of the defenses Wilson has faced in the last month and a half, but that's not enough of a reason for the difference.
Right, right. He just looked the part. And talking about their defense, that number 57, Sanborn, that guy's a ball player, that linebacker.
Yeah.
He's all over the place. And I thought they said he wasn't a draft pick, Ralph. Did I hear right?
I don't know. It's so noisy in the place I watch. I
It
couldn't
doesn't
hear.
matter. Yeah. But anyway, it was just an absolutely wonderful victory. And just like Ralph said, you forget what an offense and a quarterback looks like. I mean, you really realize how lost Zach Wilson was
Oh,
the
yeah,
weeks
really, it's
before.
unbelievable.
I mean, Mike White he was sure of himself. He got rid of the ball when he had to. On his rollouts, he seemed to time it perfectly. He didn't rush it. On a couple of those plays, Ralph, on the rollouts, I was so impressed with the way he let it develop, let it breathe, and then he threw the ball. He was just absolutely fantastic. I thought his nicest pass of the day was that one to Garrett Wilson in that small window when that guy jumped up. They showed it a couple of times. I think it was to Garrett
That
Wilson.
was a miracle play
It,
that
it
he
was
got through.
unbelievable. And then, Garrett Wilson, he put on a juke move, which was just incredible. And he's a special ball player. And it was so nice to see Elijah Moore have the game he had. He was fantastic. And from what I understand, I believe Ralph, he threw to 10 different receivers.
At least I counted 10 at one point. I don't know if there were any more, but by middle of the third quarter, I counted 10. Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely 10. Maybe there would have been 11 if Connor McDermott was still on the team. But it was just fabulous. And I made some notes. I just want to quickly go over the score, and Ralph, and you chime in that the Jets, they had the ball and they went down the field. It took them like 4 minutes and 48 seconds. And he threw a nice pass to Garrett Wilson. He hit his like first 4 or 5 passes. Is that right, Ralph?
Yeah. At least 5 or 6. Yeah.
And what impressed you about that first drive? Just the ease and the calmness of the team?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, is Chicago this bad that it's that easy? And the funny thing is, Mike LaFleur, everything he seemed to call was gold. It's just, it was just amazing how quickly you could see the difference. The lack of the frenetic, behavior that Zach has on every play. And, I just couldn't help looking at him on the sidelines, wondering what's going through his head. It didn't take long to see that there was going to be a difference. I thought it took a while for the run game to get going. That didn't really happen until the second half. And I also thought the defense, the first couple of drives, they didn't seem to have their edge either, but that got progressively better. And Trevor Siemian began to get exposed. So while I don't think the defense played their lights out game like they did last week, they deserve a week off. I mean, it was a
They
little
do.
more relaxing. They weren't under that pressure to like have to stop them every time.
Right, absolutely right. Then the Bears got a field goal, and first quarter ended 7-3, but it was the second quarter where I was at my worst, and my wife heard me screaming when the Bears went down, and then they threw that touchdown pass, Trevor Simeon, to Byron Pringles, who literally took it out of the hands of DJ Reed. And I just
Yeah,
thought it was, Ralph, I thought it was just such a lazy defensive play. He should have just knocked it down. He was like waiting for the interception. What do you think about that play?
yeah. I just think that was typical of the fact that I felt the defense, certainly in the first half, they didn't have their intensity and energy that we've seen from them. Who knows why? From week to week things happen, but and DJ Reed's had such a great year that I'm going to give him a pass on that. But yeah, that's reminded me of some plays way back in the past that I've seen with the Jets. So
Yeah, it does. And after that, the Jets scored, and the highlight, of course, was the 54-yard touchdown pass from Mike White to Garrett Wilson, which was phenomenal. And as the half was closing, the Jets had a 4th and 2, and they tried the hard count, from what I remember, and then the
yeah,
field
which
goal
never
team,
works anymore.
yeah, yeah, and the field goal team came on, Ralph, and I just said, "Oh, you're crazy."
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I'd say go for the first down right
Yeah,
now. Get him,
exactly.
yeah, get a score.
I
But
mean, it wouldn't have been hard. The way he was playing, a little rollout. He seemed to be making all the right moves. But look, the guy made the field goal, so there
he
you go.
made it, and that's under awful conditions with the rain was coming down in sheets. And that's after we blew a field goal attempt on the snap. So
Yeah,
that got me nervous too. But Ralph, he did the job. I mean, Greg the leg. I mean, he except for the first game of the year, he's been really lights out. So at halftime, the Jets were winning 17-10, knowing that we're kicking off and we wanted to stop them, and we did. And then the Jets scored 22-yard pass play to Elijah Moore. But I just want to backtrack before that. I mentioned our missed field goal attempt. The highlight of that drive was a pass to Elijah Moore, which he
mm.
put on a couple of moves, Ralph, which were just tremendous. That's the Elijah Moore, remember, from last year.
Yeah. Waiting for that. Very happy for him, and White was getting everyone involved, which was great. I mean, it's just a lot of good things happening today, and hope it can continue with him. He last year. The Cincinnati game was the first game he ever played as a pro, which is insane. And I think he came back down to earth. He's had a year. Maybe he'll react better the next few weeks.
Yep, yep. I saw his interview after the game. He was very, very positive. Um, Elijah Moore, he caught in the third quarter 22-yard touchdown pass from Mike White, and our last score, Ralph, was a 32-yard run by Ty Johnson, who was in there. And I guess Michael Carter, I guess he got nicked up. I don't know exactly what happened, but he has a little injury. So I didn't hear what they said about him. I don't know if it's an ankle or whatever it is.
Do you know what happened with Robinson?
I have no idea, but that would turn out to be the best move of the day. I was cursing before the game, and Ralph's alluding to the running back. Was it John Robinson?
James Robinson?
James Robinson, who he picked up from Jacksonville,
Jacksonville, yeah.
who I really like, and he was a healthy scratch. And Zonovan Knight, the rookie from North Carolina State, came in, one of your boys, Ralph, and he was just
He
outstanding.
was very good. He shows good vision, good patience. I want him to be playing more, definitely.
Yeah, he deserves time. He caught 3 passes for 34 yards. His longest was 16 yards, and he led the team in rushing 14 carries, 69 yards, an average of 4.9 yards a carry. He was lights out. He was a breath of fresh air. It was really great having that
Yeah,
guy.
I was glad to see him get the chance because I like the guy, and it seemed like when they picked up Robinson, that was his last chance to get on the field, and we don't know what happened with Robinson, but I'll tell you something. If he stops playing, then I think their deal was a 6th-round pick, and it goes to a 5th if he rushes for more than like 250 yards, which he hasn't gotten to yet. So maybe he's done. I don't know. That's
It
a
was
combination of
interesting.
whatever he did wrong and Zonovan Knight and Ty Johnson looking really good.
He did look good. And look, we have to give Robert Saleh credit. When you see someone that pushes buttons and they all start to work, I can't help, Ralph. I always think back to Gil Hodges in '69. Hi, Ray. Welcome.
Howdy, howdy.
Yeah.
Oh, there I am.
Okay. We went through the scoring and we're just catching up. But Ralph, and Ray, whenever a coach pushes buttons, they all start to work. And Ray, we're talking about Zonovan Knight, who was activated,
Oh,
and James
that's
Robinson was not activated, healthy scratch. It always reminds me of Gil Hodges with the '69 Mets, when everything he did seemed to click. Ray, what is your opinion about Zonovan Knight?
oh, I was happy to see him in there, and then, because of the weather, I thought that was a perfect situation to use him, and he just seemed to get stronger as the game went along. I loved it. I couldn't have been happier that we used him. I was hoping they would have activated him sooner in the season, but I just loved it.
Ralph, when you saw him I'm just curious, North Carolina State,
Yeah.
was he a good back receiving the ball out of the backfield?
Yes, he was a very good football player. He was a good kickoff returner too. Surprised he didn't get drafted, but every year there are good guys who don't get drafted who become very good football players in this league, which is one of the amazing things about the NFL draft.
Right. Ray, I just want to ask you, you went through the score, but what was your feeling when the Jets gave up the touchdown and he literally looked like he took the ball out of DJ Reed's hands?
I knew when Reed didn't go up to get it that was the problem. It was a good play by the receiver. Reed had a good coverage, but he just didn't make a play on the ball. He just tried to stay on his feet, and Reed, he went over him. But it wasn't a horrible defensive play by Reed, but it just if he'd have jumped at all, he probably would have either defended it or intercepted it. But that was so early that I wasn't super upset by it, but it just looked like one that we let get away and let them have an early score. And I just hoped it didn't give them too much momentum.
Right. And Ray, give me your thoughts about Garrett Wilson.
Oh, I couldn't be happier. Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, just both. I was just like, this is, and they aren't going to call out Zach, but this is why they wanted a change. I mean, he just got him the ball in space, let him make much, and that move to get by the guy was so sick. Just to make the little stutter step and get by him and take it to the end zone was just awesome. But this is, I think, and you could see it in their excitement after the scores. They were just so happy to have somebody to get them the ball that while they could make a play.
Right. Now, Ray and Ralph, I'm going to ask you a question right after this, but Ray, what were your thoughts on that 57-yard field goal? It was 4th and 2, and they had tried the hard count. We went over it, but what were your thoughts? Because I didn't want them to go for a field goal after they botched the first one on the snap and the rain was coming down in sheets. What were your thoughts?
Oh, I thought they were going for it. I really did. I was surprised when and as soon as they lined up and started doing the motion and stuff, I knew they're trying to draw them offside, and that isn't going to work. But I really wanted them to go for it, and I know it was in a location that would have put if they didn't make it, would have put the Bears in a good spot. But I didn't care. I thought, go for it. I mean, just be aggressive. I really thought the way our team was playing, they would have made it. But Zerline nailed it, so that
Right.
That was okay.
Ralph, Mike LaFleur loves these motion plays, and the one play he did to Elijah Moore, it was like a -3 or 4 yards. I don't know if you remember, it was the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Then I start thinking, I'm beginning to think that some of these motion plays, when he throws it outside, they just take too long to develop.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wanted your opinion. Are we telling the other team what we're going to do? If it's not a handoff to Barrios, it's one of those bubble type plays to the outside.
Yeah, I don't like those plays either. I mean, obviously, when Zach throws them, he overthrows them usually or underthrows them. So, but in that case, he threw it behind him. That would have been a fumble if Zach Wilson had done his regular underthrowing bit. You know, I thought the timing of some of his calls was really good, caught me off guard. Reverse, couple of play actions that I was expecting a run on. So, you know, yeah, I didn't like that call. There are a few calls, but overall, you can see it's a lot easier being an offensive coordinator when you have a quarterback who just makes the easy throws, you know?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
it's night and day.
And
Now, one thing I wanted to
go
ask
ahead,
you
Ray.
guys,
Go ahead.
do you think that now, in retrospect, Salah made a humongous mistake not pulling Wilson like after in the second half last?
Huge. I was thinking about that, Ralph, and I even thought about it during the game. He should have pulled him at halftime. What a huge mistake. They're sitting at 7. By the way, 7-4 going into December is wonderful. It could have so easily been 8-3.
Oh,
Ray, what's your thoughts about that now in retrospect? And I know it's easy to play Monday morning
Yeah.
quarterback.
It is, but at some point, I would have thought sooner than this that his leash should have gotten a lot shorter, and it didn't. And
because they
and I
kept
don't know.
winning. That was the problem. They were winning.
Well, yeah,
Right,
they
right.
won. They won in spite of him. But I still wonder if he hadn't made the comment to the press that he did, if that was the actual impetus to change out, because he should have done it sooner. And if he hadn't made that comment, would he have been playing today?
No,
And
I don't think so. I think the frustration on all the players was
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And I don't know if the comment was the final straw or not, but I couldn't help but wonder. I thought, whatever the reason was, that was, thankfully we made the change.
Yeah, and I think it was because it was at a tipping point, not just with the defense, how hard they were playing, how well they were playing, but with Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson too. And they deserve it. They deserve the way they're playing. They deserve it. And I think today, Ralph, I think he only made 3 passes that weren't really on target. One, he overled Garrett Wilson.
He almost got him killed.
He almost got him killed on that play. There was another one. I don't know if it was to
there was one that was out on the flat. He waited too long, and
yes.
If he had thrown it higher, the guy probably had a pick 6 on it. But that was a Zach play. That one right there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, there was one that was almost intercepted in the first quarter. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, this was, I think, in the third quarter. It was later.
That was another
I know where you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, he was 22 of 28.
Yeah,
and
Brady makes bad passes in the game too. It's like.
By the way, we get a lot of some of the feedback we get is that we're too negative, and I just want to say we are ecstatic. Ralph, Ray, and Marty couldn't be happier today that the Jets won. They're 7-4. They're knocking on the playoffs door, and I am going to be so psyched for this game in Minnesota. Nothing could be further from the truth that we're negative. We pick out mistakes. That's our job to do, but it was just wonderful. And Ray, I don't know for sure. I didn't look at the team stats, but I think the one penalty they had was that Garrett Wilson motion. Was that right, or was there another penalty?
Yeah, I think that we had a couple little ones, but I don't know if they were after that point or not. I thought we played a solid game considering how it was raining. I think
Ray, I was talking to Marty earlier, and I thought that the defense sort of lacked the edge that they had in the first
early
half.
on.
Bad tackling, first quarter.
That first couple of drives, I was like, okay, they're. I don't know if it was because Fields wasn't in, but I thought you're playing too soft.
Yeah,
and it seemed like And it's funny at the bar. I said, I think it was start of the second quarter, whatever it was. Maybe it was the first start of the second half, and I was like, "Time to amp it up. We need a sack right here." And right
Yeah.
then he came through and nailed him for a sack. And they're all like,
Right.
"You called it." And I was like, "Yeah, that was just luck." But still, it was like, we're due. We need to amp things up.
And again, Ralph, our biggest albatross, whenever there's a loose fumble on the ground, the Jets.
You all the time. And once again, they had the first shot at it.
And I'm screaming, "We got it!"
How did we
Yeah,
not
I
have that
know.
one?
It reminds me, Ray, I think I brought this up last year, Ralph. Do you remember years ago at camp, we used to have a water carnival. They used to put lard on the
Lard on the
watermelon.
watermelons,
And
yeah.
you'd have to get it from one side to the other side of the team, and nobody could handle it. That's what it reminds me of with the Jets. They just cannot get a loose ball. Even the announcer said, I can't figure out why the Jets didn't get that. The guy was right there.
And then he fumbled it like forward like 2 yards, and somehow he ended up with the ball. It was like, how did the guy who fumbled it get it?
Never seen anything like it.
Oh,
Kudos to our linebacker, CJ Mosley, made a wonderful interception. And besides that, he had 10 tackles. He's playing at a great level right
Let me ask you something. Do you think if he reworks his contract, they'll sign him again for another year or two?
I thought they reworked it, and he's back for next year.
Oh, have they?
I
don't
think
know,
that's
but
it.
if they can, yeah. They should.
Yeah, I mean, I want him back, but I also want them to draft a linebacker too.
Yeah.
I want a linebacker and a safety. But a couple of things I saw, I'm on Twitter through the game, and I'm getting all these text messages. Connor Hughes had tweeted something that Flacco had 5 touchdowns in 3 games. Zach Wilson, 4 touchdowns in 7 games. Mike White, 3 touchdowns in 39 minutes. So I thought that was an interesting tweet. Also, Ralph, Robert Saleh now this year has won games with 3 different quarterbacks.
Interesting.
Has there ever been a Jet coach that has done the same thing?
Oh, wow.
I mean, I can think of Pennington, and I remember Fiedler came in for like 5 plays. I don't know if they won that game.
I'd have to think about that one.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, which was interesting. The other thing I want to mention too, and I'll give some stats in just a second.
We still have Strebler. Maybe we can do 4, huh?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Corey Davis dropped the ball in 3rd down. I thought he should have had. It was a tough catch.
That was a tough catch. I was behind him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy's hand was in there. But then he caught a ball on 3rd down too.
Right.
The second quarter, which I thought was really good.
So was Jeff Smith sat, or did they play 7 receivers?
Jeff
He
Smith
was on
was
the
not
field that I
activated. He
He was
wasn't
not activated.
From what I
That's
saw, yeah.
interesting. Very
Well,
interesting.
Rich Cimini.
And Ralph's happy.
well, we're all happy. I mean,
well,
every
Smith
receiver
was-
there, it's guys we like.
I know. Well, what do you think brought that on suddenly after all these weeks?
Well, I just wanted to mention, I think it was Friday or Saturday, Rich Cimini puts out his projected inactives. He had put Jeff Smith, and he said that last week his special teams play was cut down a lot. He couldn't understand it. So, something that maybe was seen coming. But listen, right now, between the wide receivers and the tight ends, I'm extremely happy with our receiver core. I think it's outstanding. It's deep. They're good. They do a lot of things. I mean, you might want to say that Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore might be a little similar, though Garrett Wilson is so much quicker. It's just incredible. Our tight ends. And what's good about the tight ends? I don't know if you saw it. I don't know which one caught it, but the other one went crazy over him, hugging him on the field and jumping up and down. It's a pleasure to see. Go ahead, Ralph, because I was going to say.
I was just thinking Tyler Conklin's another guy who, along with Wilson and Moore, was probably ecstatic about the change in quarterbacks because he's been overthrown constantly this year too. He made one really nice catch today. It was a very high ball, and you could see the water. And he didn't get it cleanly, but he got it. He made about a 20-yard first down on a 3rd down play. I want him back very much.
And he wasn't wearing any gloves. That
Yeah.
was like, holy crap, he's in bare hands and he caught that ball. That was awesome. No.
I got so nervous, Ray, when we went behind, because I just kept saying, "Oh no, it's going to be a monsoon. They're not going to be able to pass the ball, and the running. Everyone's going to know it's going to be running. We're not going to win this game." But he kept passing the ball. It was wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
even in the fourth quarter, I was surprised, but he kept passing the ball, and it looked
I mean,
good.
some of Chicago's pass defense was pretty bad. I mean,
Yeah.
but the second touchdown of Garrett Wilson, I mean, the guy just stopped guarding him and he just went to the corner of the end zone. Or was that the first one?
That was the first
That
one.
was the first one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really, I didn't really
Yeah.
see that, what was going on there.
Well, Garrett Wilson actually made a great effort getting position
Yeah,
and going to the right side. That guy is a workhorse. I love that guy. He's like my favorite Jet right now. I want to give kudos to our punter who had a tremendous punt today. He only punted twice, but one of them, I believe it was 67 yards.
yeah,
Yeah.
60
That
something.
one that got saved on like the 2 yard or 1 yard
by
line.
by Justin
outstanding.
Hardy.
Justin
He couldn't
Hardy.
even find it at first. That was a pretty funny play, actually.
Right.
Hey, while you're talking about man, I would because we didn't have the sound on. Did they call man's lateral an incomplete pass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Because
brought
all
it
those
back.
fumbles happened, and I thought they were going to get the ball out around midfield, and they
Yeah.
came back from commercial, and they're back.
Yeah,
in
that was not
season.
smart. That was he's been watching
No.
too much Zach, I think, on that.
You know, it's funny. Ray, you're like this. I get a phone call from my son Michael, who's a big Jet fan, and he says to me right after that play, he said, "Dad, I can't take this coverage where they don't show the instant
I know.
replays." He said, "Well, I don't know what's going on," and they go right to the play.
Worst. They're
They go to the
terrible.
next play. It's terrible.
This was Fox. It wasn't CBS.
Oh, it was
It
Fox.
was, yeah, it was Fox
Yeah.
today. So
Yeah, they kept coming back after things are happening, and it's just because they got to make their money back for these big contracts, so they got to show all the ads they can.
right,
So a couple of guys I want to mention. Max Mitchell is back
Yeah,
and solid. Tanzel Smart, I kind of like him. He's
Made a
quick
play.
off the ball. Made one shoestring tackle that
Yes.
saved a very long run
it did.
downfield. I don't know when Rankins is due back, but I don't mind Tanzel Smart. He gives him some quickness. Of course, Bryce Huff had his one sack of the day again. That was a blown. That was a blown.
That was a
blown.
blown. Yeah, because that guy went the inside. He just blew right past him. That
it was still
Mm-hmm.
great. It still looked great.
It did.
Fast. He's fast.
It did. It was I didn't know that till the replay.
I
was
saw
like,
at least one play where they lined Carl Lawson up on the other side. I don't know if you noticed that. That was
no, I didn't.
Which is
see
good.
that.
I like
I'm glad
that.
they
Yeah,
do that. That's
yeah.
good.
Ralph, you brought up a good point. I'm just curious when Rankins is back. Tanzel Smart, he didn't play as good as last week. He was real good, but can you see them like sitting Nathan Shepard or Solomon Thomas for him?
Well, Shepard got half a sack today.
He
So
Yes, he
He
did.
did.
you know the thing about Smart is he's not as big as Shepard, and I think they want some size in the middle. So I think Smart will go back, which is unfortunate. The guy's like 28 on the practice squad, and I think he deserves a spot on a team. I like him.
How did our number 72 do today as we go into the fourth?
He was in there.
He's got a motor. That guy. You always see him like pushing, and he's intense.
Right.
I don't know if he had any tackles, but I saw him in there. I know he was, playing, but
Yeah.
didn't hear his name at all, so I wasn't sure if he made it.
You know, one play that I thought was interesting, and this is typical of a team. A player should know the situation. It was a fourth down for Chicago, and I don't know, they were on the Jets side of the field, and he threw one down the field, and Gardner was guarding the receiver, and Joyner came over, then he almost intercepted it, and he was pissed off that he didn't intercept it. We're all sitting there going, "That's the play. You don't
I was the
intercept
same.
that ball."
I was
Right.
like,
20-yard
thank
line.
God you didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
And the announcer even said they were better off. But these
Oh,
guys
yeah.
they're all into these fantasy stats.
Yeah, they want
Yeah.
those. They want that pick. Yeah, I mean that. In a closer game, I would have been very pissed off if he'd come down with that on the one.
I know we're at the 2 yard line as opposed
Yeah.
to where were they, around the 35 or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Robert Saleh should show clips every Friday about Chubb with the Cleveland game going in for that touchdown.
Oh,
Now cost them the game, though we all agreed it wouldn't matter. But I always have like a Sauce Gardner moment. I get on this guy as great as he is, and I say he's great. He's
He made a
phenomenal.
couple of nice tackles today
But
too. Yeah.
but he got burnt on a play earlier where not only did he get burnt, but he pass interfered. That's number one. And I saw him on a play when Montgomery of Chicago was going for a nice little run. Ray, he went into his touch football mode.
I know.
Mm.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember that. He just like was supposed to step over guys, like he stepped away. I don't know what was going on with this guy.
I don't know. I was surprised. You didn't notice it until certain camera angles, but I didn't realize how hard it was raining
Oh,
most of the
pouring.
game. So, all that game worried me just because of the weather. But, it was nice to see Bam Knight get in there, and he was wearing them down in the second half. He was getting some nice runs, and I thought our running game in general was pretty good. Ty Johnson shows great patience and waiting for something to open up. He'll start to run and then he'll kind of hesitate and cut back. I mean, I thought our running game was outstanding today.
Second half. Yeah.
Second half, yeah.
In the second half.
Go ahead, Ray.
No, go ahead. I loved our running game.
I was just going to say, I'm just looking up. Bam Knight is like 5'10". They list him at 209.
It's funny.
He plays stronger than that to me. He hits the hole hard and he plays a lot stronger.
Yeah, watching Robinson and Carter, I thought Bam Knight was short, but he looked a lot taller because of watching those guys.
Yes.
It's the whole, and he is stronger and he's patient too. Got good vision. I think he's a keeper, definitely.
He's good. He's really good. Yeah. Go ahead, Ray. What were you going to say?
No, I liked the running game, and I thought we, you had mentioned the motion earlier.
Yes.
And I thought we were talking about that at the bar there that we all meet at, and he said he does too much of that where the guy's running across the field.
Right.
It's not tricky anymore. You can't do it all the time. And then he ran somewhere they did a trick play, but they didn't do the motion, and it worked great. It was kind of like you gotta kind of pick and choose your spots. He just does too much of certain things. It's like every second down, if first down might be a pass, whatever, second down seemed to be a run up the middle or off tackle or whatever. It's like you're too predictable.
I think he'll learn.
To me, it looks like it's a tell. He's almost telling them what to do, what's going to happen. And everything on that play is dependent upon the wide receiver throwing a perfect block.
Yeah.
And he missed the block on that too, because
hopefully if he's smart, and I think he will, he'll use that as a decoy.
Right.
Let some draw some team in on it. I feel a lot better about it. I thought I thought just everything was crisp today.
Yeah,
and,
so it seemed much.
When that happens, the play calls look good. So I think we have to be a little easier on LaFleur because we can see the difference when you have a competent quarterback in there.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a flow to things.
Yeah.
But and you had mentioned earlier about the screen pass. Some of those things, and we were saying the same thing. It just, he threw that screen pass out there and it just took forever to get there. And by the time he caught it, you got to do, if you're going to do something out in the flat or things, you got to do it quicker. Give the guy time to do something once he catches the ball. If he's catching it and immediately trying to avoid a guy, you take too long to get it to him.
Yeah, those I don't like those plays. I don't like those plays. The fade passes into the corner of the end zone too. I think those are so difficult to complete. But they try them all the time.
Yeah, they can't do it anymore. We don't have Michael or Lawrence Cager on the team anymore. That was his bread.
We have some tall guys.
Do you? We're going to close this out in a minute, but Barrios does not have as good a year as last year, though today he had a nice
game. He had a nice game today.
But do you guys think that for some reason, I think some of these run backs on kickoffs, he should just let it go. He's not getting past like the 8 line.
Bam Knight took one out that I wish he did.
Oh, he did.
Right at a yard deep, and he should have let it go.
As far as Barrios goes, to me, his value is on punt returns. He's dependable to catch it, and sometimes he can pop one. He did today. I get nervous with with guys in punt returns, because I know some of them get intimidated, and he does not. He's
No.
like Leonard in that regard. He's fearless, and he's relaxed. I don't know if his second year on his contract is guaranteed or not. It's going to be interesting, with Moore and Wilson. Will they bring him back? Probably, because he does other things. But
Well, let me ask you this, Ralph. If Zach Wilson was the guaranteed starter, that's his best friend. You think that would have any sort of influence on bringing him back?
I don't think so. I don't think that's. What I want to know is, when they kept showing Wilson on the sideline, what do you think's going through his head? You think he's? He didn't look like he was, cheering everyone on particularly. It's a tough situation.
The tough thing. Listen, I don't like the way he handled it, but I never want to. I don't like pouncing on a guy either.
Yeah.
And Ray, I don't know how you feel, but Ralph brought out a good point that guys, high draft picks or first or second rounders don't make it on one team. Usually it's one or two teams they got to go through before they really make it, if they're going to make it. So what was your feeling, Ray, about Zach Wilson?
Well, I was like, bro, I didn't want him cutting to him every time, after every good play by White. It was like, what is he supposed to do? Okay, he could have cheered, and maybe he was, and he just didn't catch it when he was. So I don't know. I didn't care for that either. But I don't know that he's done. He might be done with the Jets, but I don't know that he's done as a quarterback. Guys develop at different rates.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think he is. Again, I'm not in love with him, but I don't think he is. And meanwhile, I think it's Sam Darnold. I think he won today, right?
Yeah, he won today, and he did okay. He didn't light it up, but he did solidly.
Right. Okay.
Hey, by the way,
can you foresee a scenario in which they don't bring Wilson back next year?
Well, of course, there's a scenario if they ever went to the Super Bowl with Mike White, which I doubt that would happen.
Realistic scenario, like Mike White plays really solidly for the rest of the year.
I don't know how that works with his rookie contract.
Yeah,
I would love to ship him to Carolina for a second-round pick, or maybe somebody will. Maybe some
second round picks for a while.
I know. I was going to say maybe somebody will take a chance, hire John Gruden. And, he'll pick him. He's always picking quarterbacks. All right, but with that, it's a wonderful day to be a Jet fan, and we have a quarterback who sees the field. And I heard him in his press conference. He says he learned last year from the Buffalo game. I'm very optimistic now. I'm jumping on the Mike White bandwagon.
You'll jump off it just as quickly.
I can. You know me, right?
Hey, the big matchup this weekend is Sauce and Justin Jefferson.
That's going to be one. I can't wait. So, go ahead, Ralph, quickly.
I'll say this, though. I watched Minnesota the other night against the Patriots. I don't think their defense is that lights out. I think the Jets can do some damage on their defense, and they'll have to because Minnesota's offense is really good.
There you go.
And another thing I want to say is I was so glad that they screwed up that Hunter Henry call because we had that coming, man. After the crap that we got burned with in those 2